Today I'm here to talk about creation care. I'm Alex Reedy, and I've been a member of St. Paul's for almost 20 years right now. So it's been a wonderful time. Please be seated. Thank you. I'd also like to talk about what the Episcopal Church and other institutions are doing to align their investments with creation care and the spiritual values of being a steward, not destroyer of the earth. I'll talk about moving from extraction to regeneration and from hoarding to abundance. But first, how I got here. My husband Gordon and I are both descendants of horseback traveling Protestant preachers. Sarah, imagine traveling around on your horse from farm to farm in the rural areas, spreading the good word. So it is very exciting to be here, carrying on that tradition. I was raised with the creation care ethos, hiking through the forests of our wonderful national parks, the shorelines, and the beautiful California Bay Area. My family some time ago created Baxter State Park in Maine. It's the end of the Appalachian Trail with Mount Katahdin. When we were buying up all that timberland, people looked at us and said we were crazy. They said it was worthless forest. Why would anyone care about a mountain? Nature is my refuge, filling me with awe and wonder. And I think it probably is for some of you sitting here today. Raise your hand if you find awe and wonder in nature. Fantastic. Holler out some of the names of the places you love most. Yosemite, absolutely. I agree. Thank you. Yes. Well, good health comes from spending time in nature. Experts recommend getting outside at least 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, 5 hours a month if you can, and 3 days a year minimum off the grid in the forest. Even something as simple as looking up in the trees, our beautiful city of trees that is Burlingame, that line all our sidewalks. It makes it a very special place to live. And our church is so lucky to have access to the great Bishop's Ranch in Sonoma. We go there to unplug, be in community together, and pray. John Muir considered nature to be a mirror that reflects the Creator. Today I have the privilege of helping some of the largest university, foundation, and sovereign pools of capital to help them fund their pensioners, their students, and the needy. And we try to do so into perpetuity, which is no small task, because climate change threatens the ability of investments to work into perpetuity. The risk of uncontrolled warming on the foundations of our financial systems is very serious. We saw that in the US in the last year, when we had $1 trillion of costs just in the US from climate change and other climate problems. For example, the Palisades fire overwhelmed the California Fair Plan state insurance system and only had $300 million in the bank and billions of claims. So the way that system works is it takes all the claims it can't pay and puts it on the rest of all insurers. So every insured policy in California then had to pay extra for that $1 billion assessment. Climate change is very expensive, and it's much cheaper to solve the problem than to pay for the damage it wrecks. And there are solutions to solve this very tough problem. And these solutions, it's very important to work with them today, because the risk of uncontrolled warming is growing and growing. We're seeing the concentration of carbon pollution in the atmosphere accelerate when it should be decelerating. That's because the natural carbon sinks, the forests, the great boreal forests of the north, the rainforests of the south, the lungs of the earth, are losing their absorption power of pollution. They had been absorbing, the oceans and forests have been absorbing a lot of the pollution from the last couple hundred years since the Industrial Revolution started. But drought and fire and other uncontrolled heating are reducing the ability of the oceans and forests to absorb that pollution. So we're seeing the concentrations grow in the atmosphere. There's also a lot of land use changes, like cattle farming. Vast parts of the Amazon are being lost due to cattle farming, due to uncontrolled beef demand. We don't have a lot of time to avert these doom spirals. We're seeing an assault on sustainability laws at every facet of the federal government right now. The book of Revelations says God will destroy those who destroy the earth. On the positive side, I'm so grateful for the gift of the early rains that California has enjoyed this year. In the first reading, we heard, "Rejoice, for he has given early rain for your vindication. He has poured down upon you abundant rain, the early and the later rain as before." It is a great gift to see the little green shoots shooting out of the landscapes around us. Our church has made a decision to be part of the solution. The $18 billion Episcopal Church pension fund and self-insurance system for the church properties incorporates impact investing, shareholder engagement, sustainability, and human rights into all its investment decisions. For example, they funded the redevelopment of a defunct record factory in London into affordable housing. They fund off-grid solar for households without electricity. What can you do? Get your electricity from heaven instead of from hell. Solar and battery costs have come down 90%. It's more affordable than ever. It also means you have power when the increasingly erratic weather takes down the grid. The grid is very fragile. And renters can participate too. If you look around Germany right now, on a lot of balconies, you'll see solar panels just hanging. So you can buy these solar panels very cheaply online for a couple $100, and you can hang it outside your window or on your balcony and just plug it into any old outlet. It's a very simple, easy solution to add solar to your home. You can electrify everything. I saw a bumper sticker on the way in on a car, electrify everything, which I appreciate. Electrify your leaf blower. Make sure your gardeners or you are following the San Mateo County law to use the electric leaf blowers. Electrify your home heating with a heat pump. Same with your water heater with heat pumps, your dryer. The federal incentives are in place through the end of the year, so there is some urgency on that. But our state and county incentives for those systems will continue indefinitely. Drive electric. You don't need to generate fire under your hood. Instead, you can use electrons. A few sermons ago, earlier this month, Sarah talked about Jane Goodall and how she went vegetarian. That might not be for everyone, but you can think about meatless Mondays. Or if you are going to eat meat, chicken and pork are much lower carbon, orders of magnitude lower carbon than beef. And most importantly, voting. The actions at the federal and governmental level dwarf our individual actions and are very, very important. I'm not talking about hair, shirt, sacrifice stuff, but a lot of these new technologies are now cheaper, faster, and better. St. Francis was the patron saint of environmentalists. He looked out for the welfare of all of God's creatures, who he called his brothers and his sisters. He was one of the first religious leaders to embrace nature's meaning for its own sake, and to question mankind's domination of it. He wrote about Genesis' mandate that we care for the bounty of the earth and the creatures. But unfortunately, we're in the midst of one of the greatest biological catastrophes since the extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Great biologist E.O. Wilson wrote about this and said of the plants and animals that we live with, we can take them with us into the future, or we can say goodbye and send them into the night. But whether we realize it or not, We depend utterly on other creatures for our very survival. They are part of our existence. They are part of us. We can learn from other great spiritual leaders, like Chief Seattle, who wrote to the U.S. President in 1855, "If all beasts are gone, people would die from a great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beast also happens to the man. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth also befalls the children of the earth." To conclude, please decry nihilism and instead celebrate our incredible home. The tear-it-down ethos we're seeing right now is one reaction to the profound changes we're living through, with AI and so many things we're used to changing. But another reaction would be to expand into our full humanity with love. And our love for this world will pull us through. In her sermon earlier this month, Reverend Sarah talked about Jane Goodall's final words before she died. She didn't give away the ending to the lovely Netflix special, but now that it's been out long enough, I'll give it away. Jane Goodall's final words were, "Everyone has a role to play on this planet. Everyone makes a difference every day, and you get to choose the difference that you make." Amen.